All right, looks like we're live. What's going on, folks? Who all's in here? They were getting here early.
There was a couple there waiting.
Just Mopar Joe was here early, and so was Buff and Auto Salvage Outlaws, Desert Mopar, Dakota's Timeout. JB was here. LP94, Smacky. They're just hanging out talking to each other. It takes forever to get to the first 500, indeed. I see. Yeah, a lot of conversation. Ed's Machine was here.
I can't see that. Who's in the chat?
Click over on the top. You'll see private and comments. Click comments, and they'll all come up. Most of the old parts. Patrick.
I see it now.
Yeah. It's Whippo. What? I don't recognize that one. Howdy. Glad you're here. Nathaniel, glad you're here. Well, anyway, we had no real agenda. I just thought it'd be fun to have John Cope back on. We had a good time last time. The time just flew by. It was a blast. So last time I had you on, I had that computer crash. You having fun with me. If it crashes again, which it could, I'm on like third crash on this setup. But if it does again, just stick around. I'll be back. I'll be right back.
The funny thing about that, John, was I asked you what would happen if that would happen. And you're like, never happened.
No, it hadn't happened in like a year.
I jinxed you on that one.
Yeah. No, you don't need that part. Those never break.
Yeah. So if you lose your feet again, I'll just start passing out free T-shirts then.
I know. You could. There's Machine. Joe's here. Yeah, man, we're just hanging out. It's Whippo says, I work for CRT and I'm new around here. You work for Cope Racing Transmissions?
Today was the second day.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this is the kind of weird stuff that he does, when he's not building transmissions. How about that?
I don't know if he knows me that good.
Well,
we'll have to see.
I think it's a blast. I got to tell you guys that don't get to chat with John Cope, you're missing out. Like, he has a really good sense of humor. We have a lot of fun. But there's no agenda tonight. Like, normally we have like our Friday guest or somebody's working on 500 tonight. We're just chilling. So if you guys got anything, let us know.
So I don't have to answer technical questions? No. I'm only kidding.
No,
if they want that care, I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me.
We can talk about non-YouTube approved stuff. Who cares? It's just a social life.
Right. I always want to know what everybody's favorite car movie was.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? If I had to say the top three on my agenda, I'd have to say Blues Brothers, Christine, and then Hollywood Nights.
Okay, fair enough. A good list.
Yeah.
I'll give you mine, and then we'll see what the chats. I would say Corvette Summer. It's probably my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
With Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. I would say another candidate would be Return to Macon County. I dug that 57 Chevy in that.
Is that the precursor to the Dukes of Hazzard?
I think one inspired the other. The direct precursor was the Moonrunners.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I don't know if I have to pick three because there's so many just good movies. Joe, help me out. What was that crazy one that had Linda Carter in it? That was a good one. Yeah, we got some good candidates in here. White Lighting, Two Lane Blacktop is good. I like Two Lane Blacktop.
I think Christine is just as humorous as it is anything. I think the old grumpy man that runs Darnell's garage is hilarious.
Yeah.
And anytime you post one line from that movie, you can get 15, 20 different people with a different line from the same flick.
Smacky got it. Bobby Joe and the Outlaw. That's it. So some of the car movies I like are not actually meant to be car movies at all. Like one of my favorite TV shows is Chips because it's like a car show. The whole thing is a car show.
It is now, yes, yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, Gone in 60 Seconds. Absolutely. I'll tell you another one that I think, if you're really objective, is going to stand the test of time. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I don't care because a lot of people don't like what I say. I think the original Fast and Furious. Now, I know that it's just like a bunch of Chrysler stuff going nuts now, but the very first one actually had a lot of interesting stuff for car people in it. Now, all the sequels are all just junk, right?
Yeah.
But that first one had some interesting stuff in it, I thought.
As if with any original movie, it's always the sequels never always stand up to the first original.
Well, the first one, they got a lot of inspiration from what was going on in the import car culture. So even though it's a lot of stuff I don't personally identify with, the movie had a good original idea. And yes, it had that completely bogus Charger wheel stand, and all that. But it did have a lot of good original ideas, and I think that movie will stand the test of time as being a worthy car movie, even though it was weird and different and all that. All the rest of them were just crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buff's Garage. The first one brought a different mindset. Yeah, well, like for instance, I think the first Fast and Furious is where these drag strips came up with four-wide racing, because that's the first place I ever saw it was in that movie. And then a few years later, you had Charlotte, and now you got those two other tracks doing it. I don't like four-wide racing, but let's be honest, I'm pretty sure that's where it came from.
Not only that, I think it got the younger kids or the younger crowd into the culture of racing, which, everybody always wants to. I mean, the older guys want to show the younger guys things that they do and whatnot. So even if they're not using V8 American muscle cars, at least they're turning wrenches and they're getting their fingers dirty on that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, I used to have people. I would have people debate that wheel stand that Charger did as being real. It's the most bogus thing I've ever seen. But it's a movie. It's a movie. I can enjoy it for what it is.
But that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Not too many guys I know could spin the tires, smoke them, and do a wheel stand at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. And never move.
Right.
Put up straight in its own tracks. Made so much torque, it looked like a cable was pulling it.
Yeah. Were there some hydraulic lifters underneath it or something? I thought I saw on some.
I have no idea. Probably. That's the most plausible. They probably took some of that hydraulic stuff like these guys put on cars to destroy them, whatever all that stuff is. It's probably something like that.
I actually, back in my day, I had a 63 Dodge that did some real killer wheel stands. It ran like 990s, and it was set up for the 10-0 class.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of that.
Yeah,
that was freaking cool.
And so it would actually go through tires in about 30 passes. Every 30 passes, I'd wear the sidewalls out. I'd have to go get another set of Mickey Thompsons. And I was going to go ahead and just say screw and put some big fat tires on it. I just never got around to doing it.
Well, did you rotate them side to side, or what'd you do?
I did every I would go left to right probably every other day. So if I raced all day, then the next morning I'd rotate them, and I'm going to see if I can do this.
Oh yeah, there she be.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and
man.
Actually, believe it or not, John, I think some of the competitors got a little nervous sometimes because they knew the car was going to come out hard.
Yeah,
and I had a couple people tell me after the race if I won or lose, they're like, I kept on watching over to watch you which is a distraction because now they ain't cutting a good light if they know the car next to them is going to wheelie.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people just want to go straight.
Right.
They want to win the race. But
you're still going straight. You're just bringing the front end up.
Yeah, it wouldn't go far. It would only go like 60 feet out. But man, it
only 60 feet.
Yeah, it's not like it would set them down about right at the 60-foot mark.
Were you tripping the 60-footers with the back tire sometimes?
If I got lucky, I did. I remember one year at Indianapolis, I went, and this is before I put wheelie bars on it. I standed the thing up on the bumper, and I freaked out. I'll be honest. I didn't expect it to go so high. So instead of just shifting in the second and letting it come down, I did the worst mistake you can possibly do, and that is lift.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did, it came down hard. It bent both of the front rims.
Ooh.
And there was a gap between the fender and the door on both sides that was never there before. So after that, I put wheelie bars on the car. I never had that problem again.
I've never had anything that needed them, but I'm going to change that.
Well, I was kind of hoping to have to put them on Haney, but it only did this little bitty 1-inch wheelies. It's not even considered a wheelie.
Haney will get there. Haney will get there. What's your weight distribution like on Haney? You ever scaled it?
I never scaled it, but with me in it, the truck is 4150. So
it's a lot of steel.
It is, and I'm always used to having a 3,200 pound car. 3,300 pound is kind of ideal. A lot of people still consider that heavy, but I don't know. I think if I play around with it a little bit, put that Holly Ram back on it, it'll go a little bit quicker. But with the stock motor, it's only going to do so much.
What's your next incarnation of Haney going to be like?
Really, to tell you the truth, it spent its entire last summer at the chassis shop, and so I went the whole year without it. I got it ready for Mo Party, and I took it out one time. So this year, if I have to go get an oil filter, or if I have to go get spray paint or anything, I take Mr. Haney to go get it. So right. But what I plan on doing, I'm going to put the cross ram on it or the Holly Ram back on it. I got to get the two-step working. I got to get the downstream working so I can start tuning it. I think I might be able to tune another half a second out of it, and that'll probably be it.
Well, I mean, you going to plan on building something a little stouter for the next engine, or you mean is it one of these things that you'll just keep working with for a long time, or?
If I can get it to run 11.0s, I'd be happy with that and be content. I do have two other vehicles that are on the back burner that I got it going. One of them is the 79 Power Wagon. I just got it out of the body shop, and I got a 440 and a 4L60E. Did I say that? 4L60E? I meant 46RE to go behind it. And then I have my original race car that I bought in the 80s, which is a 68 Coronet. So I got a couple cars that I got to get going. So if Haney's an 11.0 car, 11.0 vehicle that I can still drive in the street, I'm pretty much fine with that, Because really, to tell you the truth, I mean, the last time I took it out, I ran 1190s. But on the street, it feels like you're running 9.0s. So, I mean, how much faster could you make it on the street? I mean, it's a handful now. I can't keep it going straight.
Here's Coke's contact picture on my phone.
Yeah, when I was skinny.
That's the red Coronet right there.
Yeah, that was 100. That was 150 pounds ago, and you see that picture? I got my mullet going on.
I don't know if I can make that any. Yeah, that's the Coronet.
Holy shit. Yeah, I did a lot of racing in that car, man. I I won the championship at my local track. I qualified to go to the World Bracket Finals 3 years in a row. I did a lot. I did a lot with that car. And then after I parked it, I didn't take it so seriously anymore. It almost consumed me. I had to go out to win. And
Right.
so racing become more of a chasing the points and have to be number one every week. And
Yeah.
I miss family functions. I missed my sister's wedding. I put everything off to the side. And there was a lot of times where my boy, who's 29 now, or I would remember leaving him kind of behind when he was a baby. So now I go just to goof off. It's strictly for fun. If I win or lose, I don't care.
Yep.
Because if I lose, guess what? It's time to start cooking or hanging out or going to other pits and see what's going on in their spot.
That is exactly what the No Name Nationals is all
Yes.
about. We're going to be grilling and having a big old time, and there's a track, and you can do what you want to do and not do what you want to do, and you can race, you can compete, or you can race, you can have fun, you can do exhibition. There's no points at stake. It's all about just having fun.
Yeah. You know what I was hoping to do, and I have to find the right person. I wanted to only have one call out.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that person is just yet.
I know who it should be.
But the call out this is what I wanted to do, John. Whoever I could find that we both trust each other, I want the call out to be a heads up race, but the drivers drive the other person's car.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay? I would let anybody, if you can drive a trans brake and reverse manual, you could drive Haney with one finger. It's so nice to drive. So I want to see my truck go down the track.
So, Just Mopar Joe's running a fleet. So Haney, so you looking for something that runs a comparable ET, something in the ballpark?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Haney runs around a 12 flat right now, right?
Yep.
Jerry Racing just did a personal best in his Duster of 1191.
Wow.
Joe is a little quicker than that.
And the one thing I got to keep in mind, John, it's got to be able to put a big guy in it. I can't get behind.
We got some suggestions. We've got Scott Speedshop and Brian Cabral. Are those equal footing with you, Adam? Call out NSB. There's actually, if you look around, there's a lot of people out there coming to it, might make fun call outs. So.
Yeah. I'm sure once we're there, the people are going to come up to you like, hey, I want to race that car. I'll be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll race, and then the winner gets to drive the other person's car down the track.
Here you go. Irish Outlaws bringing a 68 Pontiac ambulance. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out. So,
an ambulance.
Like a 68 Pontiac ambulance. Well, back when they were cars, right? So it's like the hearse / ambulance. Things got to be 20 feet long. Yes. Yeah.
That'll be cool.
And it'll fit right in. That's the best part. All right. So talking about, tell us about that Roadrunner or GTX you've got in the shop. They call it the Rape Whistle. It's a blue turbo car. What is that yours, or is that a buddy of yours, or what's the story on that?
It is not my car. That car is nicknamed the Rape Whistle. It's a 68 GTX that belongs to Larry Boyd. Larry is a local buddy that we hang out with. And I remember the first time I did the transmission for that car, I think it was like an 1190 vehicle. He really transformed that from like running just on the street to running the 10-0 shootout. He did that for a couple years. And then he got into the no prep kind of a style racing. The motor is I believe it's a 528 big block Chrysler with a single blow through carb. I think he's running. See, I'm not good at measuring turbo sizes. I think it was a 114. size turbo.
That's a huge turbo.
He has my 727 with my trans brake, with my dump system. It runs a 210 first gear ratio. And I tell you what, I let him use the shop because he kind of lost the place to work on it just for a little motivation.
Yeah.
You know, and he's really coming along with it. Right now, he can't get a turbo, so the car is still sitting on the rack. But the car was on Street Outlaws about 8 or 9 weeks ago when Oklahoma came to Chicago and did racing. So if you watch that episode, he raced Dominator.
Yeah.
And lost, but and since then he got invited to go to one of the JJ the Boss's races.
Yeah.
But he can't commit because he hasn't tested, and he hasn't tested because he has no turbo.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
He does not.
Oh, well, he could start one and get 500 subscribers like that. I mean, that car would get his content quick. But yeah,
all the YouTube of that car is just me, putting it out there for him and make short little videos. But
that thing would get 500 subscribers so quick.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah, but that guy could put up a little teaser about it being on the Street Outlaws. Do a little footage of it at the track. He'd get 500 in no time.
Yeah, and actually, John, that car has my quickest 727 out there.
You told me that. So I was going to ask, it's a 727. I'm assuming you use some 48 RE parts in it because it's got a brake.
No, it's all 727 parts. And really, the only thing that's still factory is the case and the tail housing.
Yeah.
Every single piece inside the transmission is an aftermarket piece. From the hardened shafts to the straight cut planetaries, all 3 billet drums. Of course, my billet valve body in the dump. So he is very, very committed to that car. It's almost like being married. That is a no screwing around car when you have a car that's that fast.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. It runs. What does it run? Sevens? Get into sevens?
I can't say exactly because there's some rules where you can't say what it runs, but you're close.
It looks to me like it ought to get.
Yeah. It's definitely in the sevens. There's some weird rules about you can't say on the internet what it runs in order to run some no prep races.
Well, the No Name Nationals are running the clocks off, so he can bring it out there and he'll get a time slip. But we're not going to have it broadcast. It's not going to be on board. So,
is all the racing that way, John?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do on the bracket. Probably on the bracket, we can probably just get away with a win light as long as people trust that, the computer's not lying. But yeah, we don't plan to turn the clocks on, with the reason being there are probably going to be people dragging stuff out of the woods that probably needs a cage and whatnot. And
yeah,
I think that tracks generally like plausible deniability.
Right.
That and if guys want to show their time slips on their channels and videos, they can.
And now I don't recall, is it 1/8 or 1/4 mile?
1/8 mile.
Okay.
1/8 mile, yep.
Yep.
With 1,300 feet of shutdown. So.
Oh wow.
And Larry Jeffers builds pro mods. That's what he does for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Jeffers race cars. He built Big Cheat's car.
Oh really?
The pro mod, yeah. That's what Larry Jeffers does. He's built several of those Street Outlaws cars.
Okay.
And that's his personal track. So, yes, it holds stuff that runs in the 3s.
So he's the owner of the track.
He owns a track, and it's national event prepped. It's a good track.
Right.
So you can bring stuff that hauls the mail to that place.
Right. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have we've also added something you might be interested in just recently. So Friday we're going to run a bracket. We knew we were going to do that. But we're also going to run a 28 by 10.5 inch tire heads up class. So $100 bill to enter, 28 10.5 tire, has to have steel roof and quarter panels. Anything goes.
Really? You know, Larry's got small tire car. He
I'm
might
telling you,
he might do good in that.
$100 bill to enter. It'll pay $1,500 to win, $500 to runner up. 28 10.5 tire, has to be a steel roof and quarter panel car, right? And anything else goes. Oh, and it's an instant green tree, so it's practically a flashlight start. So,
how do those work? You stage and then it turns green, no
yeah.
yellow?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like has a randomizer so that it's not exactly what it does is it's basically the tree is doing a flashlight start so that people can't use electronics to game it.
I gotcha.
So you got to be really paying attention, and that's an equalizer. So the fastest car is probably not going to win that thing. May or may not.
It could be a driver's race.
Could be a driver's race, but you have to have 28 10.5 tire. Not really any other rules. It's a heads up, $100 bill to enter, $1,500 to win, $500 to runner up.
And that's not just its own class. I mean, you can go there to do other gigs, and then do that as an extra, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a regular bracket. Well, you need to get familiar with that. Just a regular bracket, and we'll have anybody in the bracket, and you can get in that bracket for just your regular entry fee.
Mm-hmm.
The burnout contest, anybody can get in that, and the regular entry fee covers that too. You can call out all the people that we can possibly get down that track to run with exhibitions and call outs. You can do all that on the regular entry fee. You can just bring your car and just show it. You can do that with your regular entry fee. The only thing that costs extra is if you want to get in this heads up 28-inch tire thing, it's $100 bill. That's because it's got a big hangout.
You know, I've met so many people through all your connections and your buds and whatnot through the No Name Nationals. And I don't think there will be an event until this happens that's going to have such a wide variety of different vehicles.
Oh, yeah. We got diversity covered.
I mean, it really has the spans of everything. And after going to Mopar shows my entire life, I mean, do I have to look at another perfectly detailed, Superbird, which I love, but it's always the same. There's nothing different about a car that's restored. I mean, it's a work of art, don't get me wrong. But to see something different where you can actually see the guy's mechanical skills is what I like.
We got everything. Like there's one of our guys that if there's not a contract on it that weekend, he's going to bring a 45-foot tour bus, and he's going to go down the track in it. For real, no kidding. There's a chance. I got to be careful because I don't want to advertise anything that won't be there. So I'm just telling you, there's a chance that we're going to have another bus there. There's a chance that we'll have a pro mod there.
Nice.
For real. There's all kind. There's going to be stuff that got drug out of the woods. There's going to be people that want to exhibition race just weird little motorized things. Like little one-off motorized carts and bicycles, and that's fine. Yeah. There's two young guys that want to do a bicycle race against each other. Fine with me. I mean, really, unless you have something like steel tank treads that will physically tear up the track, we don't care. You can go down the track. It just has to be safe. We don't look as cool as it'd be to see a guy doing 170 miles an hour on a riding lawnmower. We don't want anybody to die. But other than anything reasonable can go down the track.
Yeah, right.
And the diversity is just amazing. We do get a little criticism. They say it's too Mopar heavy. Well, it isn't now. When it first started, because I'm a Mopar guy, right? So, of course, it got out with my friends early. And so they all registered first. So the first week, it was really Mopar heavy. Right. But as time has gone on, that's changed. Like right now, I think General Motors is the highest represented make.
Yeah.
The GM, the Chevrolet, the Pontiac. We've got Buick and all that. Got a good number of Ford guys. There are more Mopar people than Ford people right now. But the thing we don't have a lot of is a lot of imports. We do have some. We have a Supra coming. We've got a Datsun coming. We've got different stuff. There's going to be an LS Volvo there. There's going to be a Datsun there with an LS. A Datsun. Do you know the Nelsons? Calvin and Andrew Nelson by chance?
I do not.
Okay. They have the channel on YouTube, Nivlac57. They're going to come and set a new stock bottom end world record for an inline six Chevrolet. They're probably going to run in the fours with their 16-inch stretch 74 dots, and it looks like a Pro Mod, and it has a twin turbo Chevrolet inline six in it. And the engine is a junkyard engine from a Trailblazer. And the bottom end is factory stock. Like everything from the head down is stock, and that thing is going to run in the fours. They already broke the world record for stock bottom end. It was a 526, and they bettered that. So that car should run fours if the weather's right. It's like
no kidding.
I mean, we had everything. We had all kinds of stuff showing up there.
By chance, do you know of any rotaries might show?
I don't know, but I would love that. I would love to see a rotary. I would love to see that. One thing we're doing different, we'll see what happens. We're running the burnout contest on Friday night. So we'll have a bigger crowd. It'll be at nighttime, under the lights. Of course, if people break stuff, you got all night to thrash on it to have it ready for the next day, right?
Yes.
And you'll have hundreds of people there to help you. So I think we'll have a great community. There will be no better place to break something and have people willing to help you get it back together.
Right, without a doubt.
It'll be a blast. Are you planning on staying somewhere or camping out, or what's your thoughts on that?
I have a coach, so I'm going to drive down and be there Thursday.
Cool.
And I think you got a small little dinner thing.
Yeah,
cooking.
Yeah, a lot of people. We're gonna go to Lambert's Thursday night. So
yeah. So as long as someone, I mean, is it far from the track?
No. No tracks are ever right in the middle of town.
Right.
But this is in the town next to the track. It's not far.
I might even take Henny there.
Yeah, you can totally drive Henny there.
But I'm going to leave first thing in the morning, and I think it's only about a 5-hour drive for me, 5.5 tops, and just get a spot and just chill out.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Joe's asked if I can explain the schedule again. What day is the bracket? We're planning to run the bracket Friday and the 28-10-5 class Friday, and then the burnout contest Friday night. That's the plan. And we'll close down. Friday, we're going to start a little later because there's going to be a lot of people rolling in Friday morning. That's the idea anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to make some adjustments closer to time, but I got to tell you, virtually everybody wants to be there for both days.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably don't have 2 or 3 registered that only want to be there one day. So,
and it's Friday, Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
And if you wanted to crash there and leave Sunday morning at the same, they're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even know if they run anything there on Sunday or not. If they do run Sundays, they wait until afternoon because there's a church next door.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few guys that say if they're running a bracket on Sunday, they'll stick around they might want to run some bracket. So you could. But we're gonna test that place hard for 2 days. I have a feeling Thursday too.
What are you taking, John?
Probably gonna be taking the van.
Okay.
If I wasn't organizing this and I was a participant, there is no question. I would be throwing down, getting the roach runner ready to go upset some people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would be happening. But we got too much work to do. It's a huge amount of work doing this. So we're going to enjoy it from the point of view of the organizers and can see. Dallas would love to be racing too. He has a T-Bird, like the Bob Cleveland style T-Bird, and it's got a Cleveland in it and a 4-speed, leaves on the bumper, runs 990.
Nice.
No electronics, and that's Dallas would love to be running his T-Bird, but just
would you happen to have any updates on how Casper's coming along?
So I'll see Andy in here. Andy was in Florida all last week.
Okay.
And he said when he gets back, it's going to be just going after it. But last I saw, the transmission was in a million pieces. The engine was dyno fresh, but not back in the truck. I think he's going to put a TH400 in it.
Okay.
So either he's going to have the C4 fresh and ready, or he's going to run a TH400. So probably it'll be one or the other. But he doesn't have it back together yet.
If anyone's a perfect candidate to go with the Turbo 400, it would be that car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's 4,000 pounds, and it makes 708 horsepower and 550 pound-feet of torque everywhere or more.
Yeah.
It makes 525 at about 3,000, and it makes 600 at peak, and it keeps 525 to 6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
The torque curve hardly moves. And
I really enjoyed Andy's videos. I think I went back and watched just about every one. I learned so much about Ford motors I never knew about. And
Andy's awesome.
Yeah, even though I'm a diehard Mopar guy, I like learning about other things because, like I said, after going to Mopar shows for the last 20 years, you've basically seen everything Mopar. So it's kind of cool to see something a little different.
Just Mopar Joe, he's going to be stacking some nitrous plates to try to hang in there. No, I don't know. I like it. I like all kinds of stuff. I'm really glad we've got all this diversity here. We have Hoosier Garage and 318 Wheel Run. They're doing a van race, tradesman versus tradesman.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
We've got. I wish Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly, Rich Rusnick here was going to be running. He's got, obviously, you see what he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, most of the old parts and rust, he's got a Dick Landy Duster with a turbo 318.
And my tranny.
Yeah. Two Hacks here has a 68 T-Bird with a 521 big block and a C6.
Hell
with a tunnel ram. And it's old school cool. We got everything showing up. I love it. I love it.
Now, are you going to have some kind of a filming crew there yourself, or when you're doing it, or
filming crew?
Anybody else do that?
Oh, filming crews, everybody. These are all content creators.
Yeah, that's true.
Dallas and I will be streaming. We plan to do pit reporting all day.
Okay.
We're going to be roving on the golf cart, interviewing people. We're trying to visit every single pit stall and talk to everybody. And then we got an announce team in the booth. That'll be good too.
Nice.
So we're going to have Ron Ward in the booth. You know, Ron Ward's a veteran announcer for 30 years. And then we're going to have several YouTubers that we think are going to be really good rotating around in the booth with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun too. Because see, like for instance, and I don't want to name any of them because we're going to do a live with them soon. Some of them are in here. But the cool thing is like we may know such and such from their YouTube channel, but the public won't. The public is just going to know, are they a good voice in the tower or not?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it'll work.
Yeah.
But we've got the announce thing covered. It's going to work out really well. Dan is exactly right. It's the event that covers itself. This is a content creator event. Yeah. There will be more cameras running from more angles all day, both days, all night, everything. Like you'd probably be hard pressed to find a time of day that somebody's not live streaming stuff. Seriously. It'll be great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He is a pro. Ron Ward is a pro. That's why we wanted to introduce him by himself. He's got an incredible resume. NHRA Lucas Oil Series, ADRL, lots of work at Heartland Park, Topeka. He's the real deal. And then we've got lots of amateurs that we think are going to be stars. So. And now Doc Fisher has to come in with transmission questions. Oh, man. We're taking you out of the zone. Any chance you could do a set of videos on the A500, A15 upgrades?
Well, I just did 3 videos for the 46RE, which is a 518. And I think there's 3 hours of a video that I just did. And the good thing, a lot of the upgrades for your 727 go for the same as the 518, and the same with the 904 upgrades that go for your A500. But I did post some videos out there. I just did one. I think it was 1,000 horsepower 518 video, and there's 3 parts to that video, and it's about 3 hours long. So that is out there.
Cope's videos are really, really good. I wish YouTube and you had been around on YouTube when I was building my first stuff. I told you how I built my first performance transmission, didn't I? I think I've said this maybe once.
Yeah.
I did it on a payphone. I was talking to a fella, Justice Racing Transmissions, back in the day in Creston, Iowa. And I would go out to the payphone in the hallway at community college where I was building my first torque flight. And he walked me through lots of stuff. And I had a friend, too, who was a 4-speed guy. But he told me some tricks that worked good, too, like, getting the check ball out of the pump and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, that was a neat experience. But, today you would never do something like that. That was a pre-YouTube thing.
Right.
So that transmission served me well for a long time. I still have it. It's under my workbench. And in fact, I had a shop fire last year, and the fire was about a foot away from this transmission. So, like, literally, the bell housing was about a foot from where the flames were going off burning oil to the ceiling, right? So now I'm wondering, when I take it down, am I going to see any evidence that, like, the seals got hot and stuff? I don't know. We'll find out. I'll take it down. It'll be the first time it's been apart in 20-some years and go through it. And I'm sure I'll make updates of stuff that wasn't around then, So
very neat.
That the strut on it for the intermediate band, I doubled up a piece and welded it together to reinforce it. Stuff like that. Yeah. So
you take a 904 one and weld it to a 727. That always worked best.
Yep. Lots of stuff like that. It's an old build, but it was really good, and I want to stick it in the dart sport with a better valve body. It'll have a Cope valve body this go around. There's some sketchy stuff in there, but I'll take it down and people get to see it. Get Cabral to announce. I don't know if you know who Brian Cabral is. He's a guy who's dedicated the last 2 years of his life to trolling Uncle Tony's garage. And we've been trying to get him to come announce the No Name Nationals. Because he calls the Junkyard Nationals, and he has such contempt for us. We think he'd be hilarious on the microphone. So literally, one of the participants is offering to fly him first class from New Bedford, Massachusetts into Sikeston. That's a $2,000 airfare, right? And we'll let him get in there. He can go to the mic. He can announce a shift and tell everybody how terrible we are on the mic if he'll take us up on it. And see, an NSB says he'll throw in a carton of cigarettes to sweeten the deal. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that guy is something else. I agree. He's he calls the Junkyard Nationals. That's what he calls it.
How can he rip on an event that didn't even start yet?
He rips on everything.
You know what I mean?
He hates Tony DeFeo and anything 6 degrees related to Tony DeFeo. He hates. He spent 2 years of his life just hating Tony DeFeo. I can't have no words.
Takes a lot of energy to hate all the time.
It does. I mean, he's 60 and he hates another 60-year-old dude on the internet he's never met. I can't imagine wanting to use my life for that. I don't understand. Yeah, we have lots of ratty stuff there and nice stuff too. Lots of good stuff. Dakota, you should be participating in this thing, man. Dakota, what are you, 18 years old? You should be coming out participating. Not that far for him either. Yeah, Cabral needs 162. Well, if Cabral is coming out to it, we'll help him get that 162. That's not a problem. If he's hating and still watching, he's a fan. I agree. He sounds like quite the well poisoner. He is. He is one bitter dude. So I tried to mail him a care package here a couple months ago. This is what I sent him. He calls Uncle Tony's garage. He calls him Sanford, like Sanford and Son. So I sent him the DVD series Sanford and Son. I sent him a pack of ramen noodles because there's a ramen noodle video on a motorcycle he hates. I sent him 3 flavors of ramen noodles in the package. I sent him a tube of Fixodent because he doesn't have any teeth.
Oh, geez, you're terrible.
And I sent him one of these. Now, was that so bad? That's what I sent him. He had dinner and a movie, compliments of a house, and he refused the package.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude.
I mean, it was nothing vulgar, nothing gross.
Right.
I had suggestions of things to send him, but this is something he could have opened on a live. It would have been cool and just been part of the gag. Yeah. This is a good question. I thought it was actually really interesting watching your video on it. Levi wants to know about dump valves and what they do.
Dump valves are actually called converter dump valves, and it was always big in the GM world. And I've seen the GM guys have it for their Power Glides and 400s. I came out with it for the Torque Flights, and basically, it works the same no matter what transmission you have. What I do on mine is I take the oil that feeds the torque converter, the converter charge, and I redirect it through the valve body to the outside of the transmission case and put a solenoid on it. So when you apply the trans brake, you apply the dump valve at the same time. And what it does is it takes the oil that normally would go to the torque converter to keep it charged or full of fluid and dump it back in the oil pan. And what that does is a few things. It will make the converter slip, and all a stall speed is a slip. And so you can get it to slip a little bit more by starving it of oil. And so under trans brake applications, it's very common for torque converters to balloon. And when torque converters balloon, they like to push on the thrust bearing. So if you got a dump system, just if anything, to save thrust bearings, it's good preventative maintenance for that. But mostly turbo guys use it to stall higher, and that allows them to spool faster. Then when you use the dump valve in conjunction with a bump box, which turns the trans brake on and off very fast, a turbo guy, at least gas engines, not diesel, will be able to get up on max boost very fast. So I got a lot of videos on that on my channel. Yeah.
Very neat.
I got the first one I did where I tested the dump valves on my dyno that I have a transmission dyno in my shop, and it's got all the gauges of all the different, the clutch packs, the converter feed, the converter exhaust, all that. And some good videos if you guys want to go check those out or in your spare time. So that's what the dump valves do. The dump valves starve. You take away a little bit of oil to the torque converter, and it allows it to stall higher. Now, if any fishermen's out there, if you've ever been in an outboard boat, in a small, like a 10-foot boat, and you're doing donuts in it, and you spin it so fast that the prop comes out of the water, and what happens? The motor revs up real quick. Yeah. It's the same concept. Since there's no load on the prop, because there's no water there, it's no different than taking fluid away from the torque converter and allowing it to speed up real quick.
That makes perfect sense.
Does that sound?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Makes totally plausible.
Yeah.
Because fluid has a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And you're trying to shear it.
So all you're doing is starving the converter for a little oil. And the minute you get off the trans brake button, it almost charges instantly. Now, there's a lot of people that use the converter dump for a traction control vise too, down track. I haven't got around to that, but Larry Boyd's car, the rape whistle, has my dump system on it. Pat with his dusters got his on there, but I don't know how much he uses it because I think he gets spooled up pretty quick.
You know, you should talk him into bringing that rape whistle out. That'd be neat because we're going to have an award for the low ET of the event, and I don't know who's going to get it. There's going to be some quick stuff there.
You know, he'd probably be really game for that, but I tell you what, the way it's going now, he was told in December that he was going to have a turbo. He's got 3 different turbo companies. He's got an order with each one of them. And the turbo is like baby formula.
Yeah.
You can't get one.
Man.
And he cannot. We look for used turbos. He can't find one. But I will pass that on to him, John.
Yeah. It would be a good. Here's the thing. If he wants to have a good time with a side order racing, this will be the place to be.
Right. Yeah. No, Larry's definitely a good time, and he's a great guy. So I'll pass it by him. He knows what I'm doing. He hears me talk about it at the shop all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
we'll see if he goes.
Sure. So all he needs to do is get him a YouTube channel. But I'm telling you, some footage of that car, he will get his plugs in no time.
There's no way he'll do that. I don't think. He doesn't have the time.
He could make a few shorts and he would get it. You could shoot a short for him at the track.
Right?
Yeah, you could bring 2 cars.
All right.
You could bring 2 cars.
Because he has been on my YouTube channel plenty of times.
Yeah, make sure you do feature, because I've seen, that's how I know about the cars from your channel. It's in your shop.
Right.
Do a feature with him.
Okay.
That'd be fun, man.
He's camera shy, but
that's all right. We'll get it. We'll just tackle him, man.
I'll put a bug in his ear.
Yeah. Oh, so this was okay. So look at this. I'll have you on like a regular Friday and ask him for questions. I don't get any. We do a social live at the weird hour, and what happens? It's questions come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that's fine.
Joe's asking about Sprag versus Spragless.
When it comes to converters, I'll be quite honest with you. I'm not an absolute expert to tell you the difference between the two, other than I know one has a Sprag and one doesn't. The Sprag, how it works is it'll come on and then come off when you're accelerating and deaccelerating, and the Sprag goes on the stator. So when you go to a Spragless, I believe the stator doesn't move at all. But I do not have enough knowledge of that particular question to answer it legitimately.
Wow.
So, because that is like, yeah, I mean, even Larry's got a Sprag in his. So I'm not sure if that is a nitrous thing or what it is, but I just don't have enough information to get that answer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I remember your video you made about the forward versus reverse manual valve body and your explanation. I laughed out loud about 3 times, and you know exactly why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can one of your valve bodies be converted to have the second neutral?
I do sell a clean neutral.
Yeah.
But that has one too many numbers in it. So he's got it park, reverse, neutral, 1, 2, 3, neutral. You can only do that to a trans brake. So in a trans brake, neutral and reverse will share the same gate on the shifter. So when you pull it out of park, you go to neutral, it's a neutral. When you press the trans brake, it becomes reverse.
I remember you saying that. That sounded so wild, but it made perfect sense. I would never have thought of that. That's pretty inventive.
Right. So what I did on my valve body is if you got this normal, it's park, reverse, neutral, drive, 2, 1. So there's 6 spots, 6 detents that you can have. You can't put a 7th one in a Chrysler. So what we did is we moved up everything. We put first where neutral is, second where first is, third where second was, and then add the neutral at the back. So I do offer what is called clean neutral trans brakes, if that answers this question.
That was the coolest video. I had never thought about it that way, but that was pretty
Pat should
neat.
know that. Patrick should know that, I thought. No?
I thought that was a neat video. I love that. Doc's got one here too. He's asking about relief holes in the drums to cut fluid and weight.
I would imagine he's talking about doing the direct drum.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done that. I've pulled out transmissions before where they drill them and everything. To me, to have a transmission that is strong is my number one priority. So I prefer billet steel drums over billet aluminum drums, even though the billet aluminum drums have less rotating weight, thus that they will be faster in the 1/8 or quarter mile. When I build transmissions, I like to build them strong, but in some cases, like for Larry Boyd's car, you have to do some light stuff. He does run billet steel drums in his transmission. It's got a light and sun shell and a roll-ice planetary. But a lot of that drilling holes in drums were guys in the 70s looking for anything they can do just to get a little bit of ET. Right. You got to be careful before you just start drilling holes. But though I have light and sun shells that take a pound off, and then the bearings really help. And you could get aluminum rear drum and aluminum low reverse drum, but when it comes to the front drum, man, I'm a big believer in the billet steel. Not only that, the billet steel has spun tested better than the billet aluminum. So, for safety reasons, the billet steel drum is better.
What do you think about that reverse wound coil spring for the high gear drumming like a 904?
Yeah, I know all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure you know about it. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, you prefer the 727 style adapted though, with the small individual springs, right?
Yeah, actually, I make what's called a 904 spring pack, and it comes with 2 billet pieces of aluminum, and you put the little springs in there going all the way around. I think there's 26 springs. It's almost like a power glide. So it's got 26 little baby springs going all the way around that. And, when Chrysler designed that transmission, that wasn't a mistake of theirs. That was a slant 6 transmission to begin with. So they weren't intending that 904s to be spun up past 8,000 or 9,000 RPMs or whatever. So that wasn't an engineering mistake. I mean, it does the spring does contract when you spin it up higher. So, but yeah, and that spring pack that I offer for the 904 is only $100, and
well worth it.
You can put it in there and forget about it. And I only recommend guys do that on trans brakes and reverse manuals. If you have an automatic shift or a forward pattern, you don't have to worry about it. I kind of
still cracks me up. Think about it.
I got a sense of humor like you. I had a guy, a real nice guy. He was dead set on a forward manual, and I was like, right at the time, I didn't want to do him. I says, "Listen, I'll build you one only if I can paint it pink." And he ended up still buying it. He calls me up. He goes, "Hey, this is the guy that wears his wife's pink underwear with the Ford manual."
Yeah. I love it. I love that was hilarious. I would be. It would not surprise me if you put that on the shift pattern. Actually, that'd be
right.
All right. So let me ask you. So you of course you do the performance stuff, right? Well, that's what you're known for. You did. I mean, your father had the shops, your second generation building, you did daily driver stuff and everything, right?
For the longest time.
Right.
Yes, I did.
So you've probably seen some hilarious stuff come in your shop.
Not so much my shop, but when I worked at the dealer,
yeah,
I worked on everything front wheel drive, overdrive, electronic, non-electronic. I mean, I just stopped doing that when the FREs came out. So, but yeah, there's a lot of crap that I've done, and I'm glad I don't have to R&R some of that stuff no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Ford Tauruses and everything. And it's funny because when I told all my friends like 25 years ago, I think I'm just going to do torque flights, they all looked at me like I was an alien. They're like, "Are you nuts? There's no way you can have a business and do just 727s and 904s. Oh, I proved them wrong. So
you can if you're the best at it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Really and truly. But that's what it takes.
Yeah.
No, I love it. When I went to community college, and can't believe, but that's been over 20 years ago now. I got my first experiences with them, and we had to do a little of everything. We had to do, rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, electronic, manual front wheel drive, transaxles, all kind of stuff, right? And one of the things I thought was so freaking cool. I did a 904. I did a 999. The 999 was for me. The 904 was a shop transmission, right? But then I did one in a neon. And I loved it because of how similar the stuff in the neon 3-speed, what is that, like a 30 TH or something?
Yeah, they used to call them 404s or 413s.
Yeah. How similar that was so cool.
It was identical, but it was all baby parts.
Well, like I was looking at the sun shell, like a neon sun shell is drilled from the factory.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so will this adapt? And I was measuring, and the teacher's like, "What are you doing? You don't need to put a caliper on any of that. All you need to do is build it." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm learning stuff." He didn't care for any of that.
I can recall when the neons first came out, I had a couple of people that were interested in wanting a reverse manual valve body for that, and then a few guys asking for a trans brake, and I was going to do it, but there just wasn't enough demand to put all that time and money and resources in development, because you could do it. It's the same hydraulic passages. It's just done on a much smaller scale,
When you do valve bodies and stuff, I mean, how, just from a production standpoint, like do you prototype everything and then have your big machine work done somewhere else, and how does that work?
I do half of it in-house and half of it out-house.
Okay.
So like I just bought a Scribner container of 100 valve body cores, and I'll go through that by the end of summer.
Yeah.
I do serial number and date all my billet valve bodies, if it be trans brake or reverse manual. And so right now I'm up to trans brake. I think I just did 477, and I was going to have a little shop party when I hit my 500. That 500 is a big number, right, John?
Yeah, it is.
So when I hit valve body trans brake number 500, I was going to have just a small get together. But as far as like the reverse manuals and the auto shifts, man, I got to be in the 2,000-3,000s of those.
Man.
I built so many of those that I don't even serial number them. But we got a laser engraver, and anybody that wants a little saying on their valve body or their name or their car name or their car year or their wife's name or in the memory of my father, I'll put anything on a valve body that I send to the customers. Yeah.
Boy, this crowd could have some fun with that.
Well, I do hide some little messages in there. So if anybody has ever taken my valve body part and they flip it over and it says "Let's go, Brandon," they
Right.
know that I put that one together.
That is so awesome. So you mean to tell me that there is some like Save the Whale person that voted for Walter Mondale,
Yeah,
and they have Let's Go Brandon or Val Body and don't know it. That is
I can just
legendary.
see it right now. I'll be dead and gone in 25 years, and someone's going to take my valve body over, and they're going to have to Google what "Let's go, Brandon" means.
That's the greatest thing ever. Well, see, one thing I get a real kick out of, and that we have this in common. We really have an appreciation for the stuff in the past
Yeah,
that laid the ground for what we're doing now, right? And
yeah,
you see it in your videos all the time. You see a lot of movie references in your videos. There's funny stuff in your videos, and I do that too. Like I have videos. Like I had a video one time. I was in my garage doing. It was actually a transmission video. It's been a couple years ago, but I had put a furnace in. And I said the furnace had electrical, it had roofing, it had plumbing, and I had clips from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation in that video.
nice.
All right, and I had a clip from Ghostbusters in one, and I have fun like. But you do the same thing, and it's interesting. We have similarities in our sense of humor. We find humor in everyday stuff. And another thing is we absolutely don't care if people know who we voted for or any of that
Nope.
stuff. I couldn't possibly care less. There's some people avoid it like the plague, and I don't sit here and try to run people off. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to pretend to be like politics don't matter to me personally because I have a YouTube channel. Of course not.
Well, if you're in it like I'm in it because you love your country,
yeah,
I'm not a political person, but I love the United States, and
yeah.
There's people that we agree with that do love it, and people we agree that don't agree with that don't love it. You know.
I'm a patriot. I'm pro-gun. I live a conservative life, but I'm philosophically libertarian. And I'm still a real person. I don't hide from that just because I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly right.
And if people aren't grown up enough to people say, "Oh my gosh, well that's a deal breaker," I can't hang out with Wilburn because of what. I don't care. I don't worry about it.
I almost every day when I have orders come in through our website, I call them online orders. So you could either call me and I'll take your order, or you can order online. Just about every other order online says, "I love your videos."
Yeah.
And then my wife goes, "Did you make a video this week? Those people are waiting for you to make some kind of video." And if I'm super busy at the shop and I'm completely exhausted, I'm like, well, I didn't tape no contact this week, so I got nothing to put together for the weekend. But I just had one come from Australia, of all places, that says, "John, I love your videos. Let's go, Brandon." I mean, this is the guy from Australia saying this. So
it's funny. I sent you, and a lot of people the comments probably won't know this. I sent you an email just inviting you to the No Name Nationals when we first released it, right? And I sent several people emails just to invite them. I've sent a flyer and everything. And at the end of the email, I thought, "Oh yeah, P.S. Let's go, Brandon. Send." Just because I could, right? And that's not playing to anybody. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. No, it is kind of funny how much we have in common.
And that, well, the thing about the video, when I see the little humor things in the videos and that kind of stuff, I'm like, I love it because I do the same stuff.
Yeah.
Any chance I get.
It keeps people on their toes.
It's fun.
Just when you thought the video was getting real technical and real serious, something comes in there and breaks your concentration.
I did a video talking about torsion bar selection, and talking about the different rates and the travel and all that stuff. And right in the middle of that video, I had a clip from Ghostbusters where they bought that hearse and listing all the stuff that had wrong with it. That was right in the middle of that. It just and also too, I'm proud to say I lost. It might have been the first subscriber who actually told me he was unsubscribed. Don't you love those when somebody tells you they're unsubscribing?
Right.
That means they're never going to quit watching your stuff.
Yeah,
that's what that
exactly.
means, right? So this dude got mad because I started my video. I don't have it in the office, but I started my video with a gas mask on. And I started video, and I took the gas mask off, and I said, our governor, beginning this week, says we have to wear a mask all the time. So this is mine. Right? That dude got so bent out of shape over that. He says, I'm unsubscribing. I'm like, bye. Yeah. And I've seen him around ever since. It's like when they tell you they can't just unsubscribe. If they tell you they're unsubscribing, that means they can't stop watching your stuff.
Exactly. That means they ain't going to miss anything.
No, they're not going to miss anything because they might need to tell you something else how much they hated it. They're like a dedicated fan over there now.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's good stuff. Now, I bet you get those occasionally. How much fun do you have with people like?
To tell you the truth, I don't. I haven't come across a snowflake that went nuts on me.
I get them occasionally. I get them every now and then.
I mean, even today, I talked to a guy from California. I asked him. I go, hey, how much is the gas out there? He's like, oh, we're paying $6.50, and he called it communist floor. He had some commie name for it. I thought it was hilarious. He goes, yeah, I've been here my whole life, but I'm probably going to move to Texas. So,
what I've discovered is what I do for a living. Most people, I think, in the chat, and I sell real estate for a living. I'm a broker.
I didn't know that.
That's what I do for a living. And I decided a while back when you remember when the world first started losing its mind, and and some people decided people had to be canceled, and that absolutely everything from the color of the grass, the color of the sky was racist, and all this. Remember when the sky was falling over everything, right? That stuff started happening around 2014. That's when the world lost its mind. Was about 2014. That's when I said, okay, I can't play with this anymore. So my thing is I'm going to be exactly who I am, and I'll be that way on duty, off duty, at work, at home, and we'll just tell them where I stand, and then that way they can decide if they want to do business with me. So I had the newspaper came over, and they were doing a piece on people who carry guns, and they featured probably, I don't know, about 20 people, right? And a lot of them were cops and stuff, but a lot of them were everyday Joes. And there's a picture of me in the Roanoke Times in that spread with my because I used to wear like nice silk shirts and ties and dress slacks and stuff, believe it or not. And I'm open carrying a pistol in a neighborhood showing houses, right? So here's the thing. That's how I roll. And here's the deal. I probably lost a real small % of my business of these unhinged people who can't take people being honest about who they are.
Right.
But I've replaced every one of them with at least 2 people that said, man, I really respect that you can be honest about who you are. I'm like, get right on.
Yeah.
It was nothing but good for business.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Nothing but good for business. And I've also seen other business owners here in town are the same way. There's a restaurant here in town that you would never expect would lean one way philosophically. And they put it on their sign. And there were a couple of really loud people saying, I'll never eat there again. And his response was, you never ate here anyway. Go away. And his business improved. Because I think that people appreciate people who can be very transparent about who they are instead of trying to be so careful to not let anybody know what you believe or think you're a real person. And
you know, actually, to tell you the truth, John, I go out of my way to be extra nice to the libtards.
Yeah. Sure.
I had a friend who's got a flathead, and he is as far left as they come. He goes, hey, John, I need these exhaust studs on my flathead taken out and then replaced new studs. I says, well, bring it by the shop. I'll do it for you. And I spent maybe a half hour putting the studs in. He goes, what do I owe you? And he's from my hometown, which is about 45 minutes away. I said, bring me 4 panels tacos and a French fry, and let's call it even.
Yeah, nice.
You know? And he did. And then he wanted to pay me. I'm like, dude, we're good. He goes, are you sure? He goes, I thought you were a capitalist. I go, you don't have to be a non-capitalist to do
Right.
something of a favor for an old friend.
Right.
So
there's a newspaper columnist who lives in this area, right? And the ultra conservative people hate this guy. They hate he is a bicycle riding, blue voting, far left as you can get dude, right? On everything. However, he and I get along real well because we know exactly where each other stands and we agree on next to nothing, right? Like we're both white and we pee standing up. And other than that, we probably don't have anything in common, like nothing. But anyway, whenever he writes a column and he says, hey, man, I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Will you check this out for me? It'll be something about guns, right? Because even though we completely disagree on gun policy, I'm a 2A absolutist, and he would probably like to see, England happen here. We're completely opposite. But he knows that I can look at his stuff and say, are my terms right? Am I using proper terminology?
right.
Am I addressing this correct? So even though we don't agree at all on his position, I can help him with that. And he can trust that. And, and I don't burn him over or anything. We went to a football game together one time. And his Volvo was overheating on the way in, right? And I'm talking to him a little bit about it on the way. And I said, yeah, I know I figured out what it was. It was a thermostat.
Mm-hmm.
So I pick him up. We go to the football game. After the game, in the dark, he's holding a flashlight. I'm putting the thermostat in his car. We get him back.
Wow.
He makes a column about that too. So,
no.
And in the column, he says, if anybody thought it was dangerous changing that thermostat in the dark, I'll have you know that John was carrying 3 guns. We both have fun with it, and we don't agree on anything in the world, but we can still get along and have a good time. There's no reason we can't.
The guy that lives across the street's moving, and we're probably 1 mile from Illinois.
Yeah.
So, and we're in Indiana.
Yep.
And of course, this is a conservative state.
Right.
And he's moving him from this, and he's an older gentleman, and he's too big of a yard. He can't take care of it. He's moving to a condo. And I got when he was moving. So last week when I was going to work, I'm like, hey, and he is as ultra, as far left as they come. He was a postal worker. And I go, so I hear you're moving, Ron. He goes, yeah, we're moving. I go, man, Illinois is going to be so happy to have you back. He goes, oh, no, I would never move there. I go, you're not going to move back with all the rest of your Democrat friends? I wouldn't let up. I mean, I was going but he knew I was kidding.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how can you? The theme I noticed, because again, selling real estate, I see this all the time. I sell houses to people who ruined the states they came from, and now they're coming here to ruin this one. And they have. We now have 5 counties controlling this state, and it maddens me endlessly.
Yeah. Indiana, I don't know if you know this, John. Last week, it just became a constitutional carry state.
Yes. Now it's the majority of states are now.
Yes.
It is now a minority that still require you to pay a tax on your rights.
But I never, the whole time, I moved to Indiana in 2001, and I carry every day, and I never once got a carry permit.
Yeah.
You
didn't have to.
No, I don't think I need to ask the government for permission to exercise a right.
That you were born with.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. I hear people say this, and this is always interesting. They say, yeah, but the Second Amendment is an amendment, almost like it was less important. I'm like, oh, no, not at all. It was so important that they amended the greatest contract that people ever had with their government to make sure it was included. Yeah. That's how important it is.
They can call it an amendment, but it is the Bill of Rights.
But here's the thing. If I do a contract in real estate and I write an amendment, that amendment supersedes all other language in the original document.
Yeah.
Amendments legally do that. So the 2A actually is an amendment that supersedes anything to the contrary in the original document. Right. That's how important these things were. Free speech, freedom of religion, freedom to petition your government for grievances, assembly, not quartering troops in your house, etc. These were so important. Excessive bail, trial by jury, all these things are so important that they were literally added as amendments to amend the original language. That's how important they were.
You almost got all the 5 protections in the First Amendment.
Well, I know that. Yeah.
I heard you rattle off the Third Amendment.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I think I was 40 years old when I went back to school, and I went back just to learn the Constitution and nothing else.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. I could get pretty close. We just had Mopar Joe in here. He was a 7th grade teacher. I can get close. They start getting a little fuzzy when we get into the court amendments, but I know the first is freedom of speech, freedom from religion, freedom of religion, however you want to look at it, petition the government for grievances and assembly in the press. I know the second, all 27 words of the Second Amendment, obviously. And then we have the third, which is about quartering troops in the home. We have the fourth, which is freedom of search and seizure, obviously. The fifth is not having to talk to the police, right?
Right. Self-incrimination.
Yes, self-incrimination. Once you get into like 6, 7, 8, I'm not sure which order they're in, but I know that we have a right to not have excessive bail. I think that's abused outrageously daily. We have a right to a trial by jury of our peers, which is something else that's abused obscenely. You tell me how I'm going to get a trial of jury by my peers. I'm not going to. Let's face it. Then, of course, the 10th Amendment is the States' Rights Amendment, which is abused outrageously.
Actually, the 10th Amendment, John, if I can chime in here real quick. I mean, all the amendments are important, but the 10th is probably one that gets trampled on the most.
Every day.
If you were to explain it in layman's terms to someone who doesn't know nothing about the Constitution, you can tell them that the 10th Amendment is the amendment that says that anything that we forgot to put in this document, you still cannot do.
Yeah.
Is what the 10th Amendment is.
Correct.
So,
and the powers are reserved by the states.
Or to the people.
And the people. Correct.
So
not the federal government like it's being done now.
Right.
Which
and you know that whole document is a rule book of what the government can and cannot do. Once they put rules in there that go against the people, like income tax, that's not what that document's for.
I agree.
The income tax rule violates almost everything in the Constitution. So
look how very explicitly written the Second Amendment is and how much it's abused. You know, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma. So we got that prepositional clause, right? That's the why we want it. But then it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And it says people, okay? That is unambiguously individual people like you, I, and the people in the chat and everyone else as individual people. It says keep, which means to own. It says bear, which means to carry. And then it says shall not be infringed, which is really, really strongly worded, as if any regulation is infringement. That is an extremely well-written 27 words, and it is trampled daily.
And the well-regulated people are like, well, see, it has to be regulated. When I tried telling them, no, well-regulated in 1776 means very organized. Well, and militia means any man over the age of 18.
Well-regulated. So well-regulated does not mean the same thing as like government-sponsored. Right. So in Virginia, you've got 4 classes of militia, okay? And the 4th class is every able-bodied free male from the ages of 16 to 55. So technically, I am a member of the unorganized militia of Virginia by default.
Yep.
And that's just in our state constitution. That's how it's defined. A lot of people just don't care about any of this. It's gone by the wayside, but I think that that's the best contract ever authored, and we are where we are with it, right?
You know, another thing that the verbiage that's always wrong, and even if you watch Fox, they get it wrong a million times, is when they say the word democracy.
Yeah.
And I try telling them we're not a pure democracy. We're a constitutional republic. And even in our document, it says the United States shall guarantee a Republican form of government. It doesn't mean Republican Party. It means that we are a constitutional republic and not a democracy.
Well, there's nothing wrong with
that wrong.
Well, democracy with a small d that's not party affiliated means something very different than the Democrat Party. It's two completely different things.
Yep. Well, democracy, Democrat, and democratic are three different words that mean three different things.
Yep. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is not the same as the Democrat Party. I mean, they're not. You're right. They're different. That's another thing too. While I'm talking about things completely unrelated to cars, because it's late night and we told them it was a social live, right?
Heads up to Two Hacks Garage. Thumbs up.
Oh yeah. While we're at it, we are losing the whole mooring of our language. All of our words are being hijacked to mean different things now, and that's a real problem. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I noticed, for example, and there's lots of this kind of stuff. When did the word issue become synonymous with the word problem? I think that what that serves to do is it serves to take the ground rules away from things we know are wrong and make them debatable.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it does, it kind of undermines your base of what is right and wrong. If you can call it an issue instead of a problem, it now becomes back up for debate.
Right.
The word like basically serves to weaken your accountability to what you're talking about. For example, girl says, well, he has 6 brothers. I think that person has 6 brothers. If she says he has like 6 brothers, I'm like, well, okay, he has some brothers, but I don't know how many. Like serves to undermine the accountability of the accuracy for what you're saying.
Yep.
We have examples like this just strung through our language. The English language is something we should never give up to this kind of thing. And I think that this sloppy speak is not just a harmless fad. I think it's harming us as a society to give away our language and the meaning of our words.
Yeah, and the twisting of it to promote, I mean.
Yes.
What year did you say things went bad with 2014?
2014 was the rise of the social justice warrior and all of that stuff.
I think that's when pronouns came out too, right?
Yeah, probably. Right. It's. I heard this described really well. Steven Pinker, the cognitive scientist, described this real well. He said that political correctness is in its decadent phase, which means that it's accomplished all of the things it really needed to, but now it's trying to find and create new things to stay relevant. Yeah. So your crusaders who didn't get enough out of all of the major things are now creating all these imaginary grievances to remain relevant. And we see this done with all kinds of grievance industries, right? We see it in all kinds of grievance industries, whether it's race or whatever. There's all these grievance industries that exist that keep finding new ways to make new enemies and new people who are wrong. And
some people can only
do anything good.
Have a party by making them the victim.
Well, yeah, the victim in grievance industries, they are peaked. I mean, look, we have people who make huge salaries going around finding ways to make bad guys out of everybody.
Yep.
And it causes people to be more bitter. It causes people to avoid having conversations because they know they'll be canceled if they're not on the right side. That doesn't help anybody. I mean, when people as a society can't have an honest conversation about our differences, we're in trouble.
Right.
Because now they're picking winners politically, and that's a disaster. So what does it do? Causes people like me to say, I don't want to get canceled. I'm going to avoid it. That doesn't solve anything.
Nope, it certainly doesn't.
But that's where we are. Tony's Hot Rod Garage calls that lazy speech. Yeah, it's lazy speech, but it's more than that. It's serving to undermine all the meaning of our words and what we say and our accountability to them. Well, I'll tell you, there's lots of. Now, I'll tell you, I've been doing gun rights for 20 years. I'll tell you lots of them in that. Like, for instance, universal background checks. The side who wanted that named it. That should never have happened. What it really should be called is the criminalizing of private sales. But because one side picked the words and the other side said, okay, that's what we'll call it. Well, now we got a real problem because now the public doesn't really know what it is because they used weasel language to explain it. So anyway, it's now criminalizing of what were otherwise perfectly legal sales. And it's through gun speak everywhere. It's simply like this. A high capacity magazine. Well, what makes it high capacity? It's what it's designed for. It's standard. But if one side decides what's too much, I've always said that negotiating is not the middle ground where you meet. It's who defines the ends. Right. And we have let the weasels and the politicians and the activists and all these people define the ends for so long that the middle we're finding is just whatever's left.
Yeah, I agree.
That's our anyway, whatever. That thing doesn't ever come up when we talk about cars, so whatever. 2Hacks says if he gets canceled, there will be a 2Hacks 2.0. Danny Boy says, cancel me all you want. I've got nothing to cancel. Yeah, I work for myself. So, I'm harder to cancel. I get along pretty good usually with people that run their own businesses and such. I don't think I have an attitude conducive to working for a lot of people. So, all government programs imply the opposite of what the name implies. Yeah, well, they're very weaselly worded. They'll give a bill a name that has nothing to do with what's in the bill. It's weasel language.
If they name a bill after something, that's what they're going after. What was that? What was that one that Bush signed into law after 9/11? The Patriot Act?
Yeah, right.
There was not a damn thing patriotic about that thing.
I called it the repeal of the Fourth Amendment.
Yes.
That's what I called it. Yeah, they're
the best one out there, John, is the Affordable Health Care Act.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday. I'm like, how do we get into trying to fund all of this overpriced stuff versus going after the costs? There's no question which is better for the public, but
I had insurance my entire working life from the time I was like 21. No matter where I worked, and even when I was self-employed, when I owned CRT, I had insurance for me, the family. It was great. I think we paid $500, had 80/20 coverage. Obamacare comes out 6 months later. I lost my policy. So then I had to go out and get insurance. I would have to spend $20,000 a year before they would cover one penny of it. Because it was $1,000 a month. Then you had a $5,000 deductible, and then after that they'd start only with 50/50 coverage. So I just been paying out of pocket ever since.
Man, well, I've got Get Better or Die Mutual. That's the kind of insurance I have. So, and that, no kidding, I just paid $4 a piece for Champion 405s. That's insane.
How about the affordable spark plugs?
Exactly. Barrow's saying here.
Have you seen any auto parts that have gone crazy in price other than used muscle cars?
Well, spark plugs have. Oil has, obviously.
Oh, my God.
Anything with copper in it has. There's a lot of stuff like that. It's just gotten outrageous. And what I've been doing for about the last 5 years, I quit getting anything hardly at the parts store. I will go to a junkyard and I will get a core alternator with low miles before I will get some parts store rebuilt alternator or starter, because you're getting a much better part. I don't care if I have to pull it myself; it's a better deal. Like for example, I need a CV axle for the CRV, right? I'm not going to get a rebuilt one at a parts store because I know that I will not get 30,000 miles out of that piece of trash they sell over there.
Yep.
I'm going to go to a junkyard, and I don't care if I have to get one with 150,000 or more miles. It will be a better axle for a longer time than what they sell at the store. And this stuff that comes in from China is unbelievable. The quality is so horrible. Last time I looked at a distributor, I went to AutoZone, and I wanted to look at a distributor, and they got it out of the box. And I'm telling you, this distributor looked like they took one that had been laying on the ground outside for years and sandblasted it, stuck a new cap on it, and that was, call it good. That's exactly what it looked like. I'm like, no, this is trash. Yeah, they call them weasel words for a reason. Yeah, sure. It's exactly what it is. They're never honest about anything. Look at this stuff going on now in the Senate. They take a bill that's not going to make it. They strip the language out of it, put other language in it, so that they get another chance to vote on something nobody wanted in the first place. What kind of stuff is that?
We just had one of our senators vote for that gun control law.
Yeah.
That has the red flag parts of it in there.
Yeah.
I think there was 10 Republicans that voted for that.
Red flag is an easy way around due process, so they can abscond with anybody's hardware at any time. You don't have to. No one is accountable to anything with that. It's a terrible.
If you and I are neighbors, and me and you are on our yard arguing with each other, and someone reports that they can take our guns away from us so we don't kill each other, that's all those red flags are.
Here's what's worse.
Right. There is no due process.
Well, there's none. Well, who's to say that it's even a neighbor? Because you have first of all, in our Constitution, it guarantees that you have a right to confront your accuser, correct?
Yep.
Well, not with red flag. With red flag, you have no right to confront your accuser, which means there doesn't have to be an accuser. That is extremely dangerous precedent. When you have no right to confront your accuser and there doesn't have to be one, there's no accountability in that system.
Yeah, I mean, it was very heartbreaking and sad to see what happened at that school in Texas. There's no doubt about that. But how did that 18-year-old kid afford $6,000 worth of guns and ammo and vests and all that other stuff? I thought he worked at Wendy's or something.
Well, here's the thing. I don't believe anything they report until, the bigger thing is why is this? We don't have any more firepower now than we had 100 years ago. The question is, why do kids want to do it now? That's a bigger story, I think.
Yeah, I think it's only been an issue the last 20 so years, really.
Yeah, 1999 with Columbine was when it started. And you look at the profile of the kids that do it. That's what's changed. What's changed is our society. So you can regulate, but I'm appalled that nobody wants to fix the cultural problem. That's what bothers me.
Yeah.
Is why kids want to do this. No, I'm totally against red flag. Red flag is a way for your government to decide who they want to disarm at their own whim. That's what red flag
is. The people they want to disarm are the people that are disagreeing with who's in power. With who's in power right now.
That's exactly right.
I mean, you see these people at January, the so-called insurrection on January 6th, they're keeping hundreds of people in solitary confinement, but the Colbert factor goes there and does basically the same thing, and they get out in 24 hours.
It's look at all the riots that were going on in the summer. All those riots. They were releasing those people were burning cities down, and they were out in 24 hours.
And did you remember seeing pictures of skids of bricks?
Yeah,
in certain locations,
delivered there.
The same people that delivered those bricks were the same people that killed those 10,000 cows in the middle of the country.
It is nutty, the stuff going on now.
Yeah,
Absolutely nutty.
it is.
Joe Alcott saying define the red flag and the consequences of abusing it. Well, the thing about the red flag is theoretically it's so that a neighbor or whatever can report somebody too dangerous to own guns. But what it actually means is under the red flag, a person does, okay, we have a constitutional right to confront our accuser. And the reason for that is it keeps integrity in the system. Because if you don't have a right to confront your accuser, there doesn't have to actually be one. It could be the government, it could be the sheriff, it could be anyone. There's no integrity in that system if you don't have a right to confront your accuser. But with red flag, you don't have that. So basically, with red flag, if your sheriff or your political opponents or whatever decide they want to disarm you, they can just do it. And there's no due process. I mean, because right now what it would take to be disarmed is it would take a warrant. And you don't have
probable cause.
And probable cause for that warrant, which you don't have with red flag. There's no probable cause, nothing. That's
basically what it is if someone calls the police, like right now, you can call and say, hey, the neighbors got their music too loud. The cops will go over there and say, okay, turn the radio down. But if someone calls the cops and say, hey, I hear, a couple next door arguing all the time, the cops will go over there and like, listen, there's a problem. You guys are arguing. I need to take your guns. And once they take them, there's no getting them back. And you have to commit a crime first in order to have your property taken from you.
Well, here's one worse than that. If you're the victim of a red flag swatting, right? Like, let's say that red flag comes in, they take all your guns, right? Boy, that goes in the newspaper. Who's a thief knocking over the next day? Yep. The guys whose house was just searched for everything to defend himself. I mean, to me, it's an outrageous. It's outrageous that our government would do that to us. It's a complete constitutional abomination. It's amazing that our public has been sold that this is a good idea. Yeah. And who these senators are to think that they have any authority to negotiate my rights away is appalling.
You know what probably bothers me the most, John, is there's a large part of the population that doesn't even know what freedom really is, or to have that desire to be free. And what I try telling them every single time, I go, no matter what you love to do in life, no matter what it is, freedom comes to do that, whatever it is you want to do. To work, to play, to have fun, to do whatever. You got to be free to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't know what freedom is.
Without freedom, we can't have anything else. And the freedom isn't about what I think is good taste or you think is good taste. I mean, there's too many people who've died face down in the mud to give us this for us to hand it over and think it's unimportant. Here's another one too. Axe brings up: how's your employment going to be affected when you've been red flagged?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, be looking for any reason to get rid of you then.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to make it all the way to his desk, but they're trying. They really are.
We'll very likely get a red flag before long.
You think?
And I think so. I think we probably will.
I know they're gonna try to get it before the midterms, because after that, there's no chance.
Oh, I don't know. There's always a chance. There's always a chance. The party that says they're for gun rights is the one that tends to sell us out.
Yeah, including my senator here from Indiana.
I really think that we have lost our way with the constitutional litmus test that all of our elected leaders should have to pass.
One thing that when I studied the Constitution and took my classes, there's the one thing that I realized that the founding fathers forgot to do. If you make an infraction, if you do something wrong, there's a penalty. There's even a penalty for driving too fast. they have all these rights and they have all these people take an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, but there's no consequences to violating those rights.
Right.
Okay, so a speeding ticket is whatever, how much, or breaking the law by robbing someone. There's certain set terms of what the punishment is. The founding fathers forgot to put a punishment clause in there for people that do abuse those rights. So let's say you have to sue a politician. Let's say whatever, something really absurd like, okay, no one's allowed to have guns at all anymore. Well, that's an absolute. You took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. You're violating those rights. Where is the consequence of that violation?
There's not one. That's why they keep doing
it. But I think the Second Amendment was supposed to be that. But, I mean, I don't know if it'll ever happen. How far do you push the people? And then how far do you dumb the society down to where, the government says to go get a shot, you go get a shot. Or,
I'm opting out of all this stuff. I'm opting out of all of it. I think that the tyrants are too successful at just the war against young people with education and the SOP that they're running on society. That's why they're not pushing it too hard on the older generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care where they redraw the line. I'm not changing for anybody. Okay. And they know that, but I won't live forever. So what they're doing is they're really working hard on the attitudes of the young people. It's like I've said, it's not where you meet in the middle. It's who defines the ends.
Yeah.
So when I hear these people say that people like me won't make any compromise on gun control, I'm like, what do you mean? We got the Gun Control Act of 1934, the Gun Control Act of 1986, the Gun Control Act of 1968. We had gun control in 1974. We've got the FFLs. You have a federal background check. You have a state background check. You have concealed handgun permits. Looks to me like all my side has done is give up forever.
Yeah.
So tell me how I'm not compromising. See, the way they define the ends is between where we've been pushed to and disarmament. And what we need to do is redefine the ends between disarmament and everything. See, that's what nobody's talking about and the way nobody thinks about it. So no, I'm not willing to give an inch from where we are now because we're already too far toward the other side.
Thousands and thousands of laws are already on the books.
The most regulated right there is the second. The most regulated right there is. So let me ask you, how come when they want to talk about background checks, well, why can't we put back on the table the National Firearms Act of 1934? Why can't we decriminalize silencers? Because in England, which has more gun control than here, in England, you can buy a silencer on a store shelf, no regulation at all. How come we can't put that back on the table? How come the compromise is always between where we are now and disarmament? That's always what it is.
Yep.
It's to me, let's really define the ends properly, and then we can talk about compromise. But until we do that, I'm not willing to give an inch.
I'm right there with you.
Nope. They can come and take it, and they better pack a lunch when they do. I mean it too. Let me tell you, man, I don't have any reason to care. I'm good. Just leave me alone and just let me do my thing. Yeah, Danny boy, exactly. Yeah, treaty after treaty, treaty after treaty. Let's just keep moving the line, redefining it.
Yeah, I saw a good meme that said, if you want the government to take care of you, just look how they took care of the Native Americans.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I live about 45 minutes from downtown Chicago, and Chicago is a total, complete, free, safe zone, free gun zone. And we hear on the news every weekend, especially if it's nice out, how many people get clipped in the weekend. It could be
50, 60.
It's usually between 10 to 25 or 30. A lot of them live, but a lot of them do die.
The answer is not what they've been doing. It's just like I'm disgusted at now the things they want to come after that have nothing to do with any of these things that have been shot up in recent weeks. Like one thing they never talk about, and I don't peddle in conspiracy at all, but if you want to look at solutions, why do they never look at what all of them have in common? One thing almost all of them have in common are the medications these people take, the things these people search on the internet, the social things that all of these people have in common. There are so many more common things they could look at, but they don't want to do it. They all just want to go after the gun. I don't want to live in a world where we're all disarmed and yet everybody's nuts. I would rather live in a world where we're all armed and we're all sane,
Right.
but they never seem to care about that. It's the tool of tyrants. What can I say?
And I gotta say that our founding fathers were smart when they put that in the Bill of Rights, and I think that's really the only thing keeping them from taking everything from us.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is.
It's we need that, but
Even the Japanese, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, they knew not to go inland because they knew behind every blade of grass was a man with a gun.
it makes a difference. It really does. It has really slowed the tyrants' creep here for sure. If we did not have as robust a Second Amendment and reverence for it here, I think we would be paying a lot higher taxes. We would have a lot less due process. This would not be as good a country to live in right now. Of course, no way to know, but that's what I believe. The mayor of Beetlejuice. Yes, the mayor of Beetlejuice. I agree. That's hilarious. Yeah,
That's a
Mayor
good one,
Beetlejuice. I love it. I think that's the funniest thing. We've been on. Time has just flown. We've been on almost 2 hours.
No kidding.
Just having a good time. But yeah, I don't want to tie you up. I thought this would just be a fun thing to do since it's just a social live, right?
Yeah.
So,
What was our highest count of people we had in the chat?
oh, we had 50 some.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
For late night random like this, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we still have a healthy crowd. Actually, we still have 30 people here. But yeah, I don't want to wear you out. I don't want you to feel trapped. But it's been fun. Time's just flown by. So anyway, if you want to come back, we'll go live and have fun, talk about other stuff sometime, whatever.
John, I've always enjoyed hanging out, and I gotta say thank you for pestering me about coming to the show that many times. You were very persistent, and the persistence has paid off. And I have met so many people connected to the race that, and I met them online now, granted, but I cannot wait to the event so I can go see these cars and these people in person. I'm going to spend more time shooting the shit with all the guys.
Yeah.
And checking out their cars and drooling over their cars. And to me, I'm going to be a little starstruck to see some of these cars that I've seen online and subscribe just about to every guy out there. So I'm really, really looking forward to the event, and I can't wait. I mean, Haney has stayed together, so I know it'll be just fine by the end of the season.
It's going to be great. We're going to have a blast, and I just really appreciate that you're joining us. But tell you what, you want to come back sometime, and we can talk about more non-YouTube approved stuff with whoever wants to join us.
All you got to do is ask, John.
Yeah, man. I thought this would be fun. We talked about it last time, and I know you got stuff to do, but it's like, it'd be fun. I'll go on late after Tony, and we'll just have some fun. So, yeah, man. Well, I'll let you have a good evening. I'll tell these guys, and thanks to my mods, however many of them were here. I saw most of them drift through at some time or another, but thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. It's been a blast. We'll do it again sometime. Oh, and if you're not subscribed to John Cope, go check out his channel. It's a barrel of fun over there. It's nice and politically incorrect and informative at the same time. We'll see y'all. Have a good evening.
Take care, guys.